Okay, we're live. Hi. Hey, everybody. It's Becky from Power Tools with Thread, and thank you so much for stopping in this morning. So we are doing a Kimberbell mini quilt today. If is there anybody here that's brand new to machine embroidery? You can make a comment in the chat. Let me know, and we're going to yeah, I had to put I'm here. I got camera problems. That's okay. I'm here and so are you, and that's all that matters. So today we're going to do a beginner embroidery class, a little sew along for the Kimberbell mini quilt. Even if you haven't uh even if you haven't got the kit or anything like that yet, you're just kind of watching to get an idea. I'm going to take you through baby step by baby step and show you how I make the Kimberbell mini quilts. Okay. So, all right. I just want to check here in your first Kimberbell. Well, good, Denise. That's great. I'm so glad you joined us. All right. So Norma's new as well. All right. So we're going to that would be you, new to embroidery. All right, Carla. So there's a lot of mystique about embroidery, and some of you can be really intimidated by it. But whatever you get in your head about this, okay, it's exactly the same as sewing, except the machine is moving the fabric versus you moving the fabric. Okay. So when you're sewing and quilting or whatever, you're moving the fabric with your hands, putting it under there. In embroidery, the machine is doing it. Okay. And because the machine is doing it, the machine has a certain level of stitching that it does, what speed it works at. Because the machine, and that speed varies by machine to machine. And it doesn't matter whether you're working with a 5x7, a 6x10, 8x12, or the big luminaire like I am, which is a 10x16. There's a Janome out there that's even bigger than that. They all basically operate the same, okay? And Kimberbell will generally do their designs so that you can do it in as small as a 5x7 hoop or larger. Now, what does that mean? So your embroidery machine, or if you're thinking about getting an embroidery machine and you're watching just to kind of check this out and see what it's all about, your embroidery machine, it'll give you a hoop size on the box. That's the largest size design that your machine can stitch in one hooping. Okay. That's the largest size. So if you have like a PE 800 and it says, spacious 5x7 hoop, you can't make designs that fit in a 6x10. You are limited to designs that are 5x7 or smaller. So you can make 4x4s in your 5x7 as well. Is the kitchen still open? Marlene, I think it is. You can go over there and take a look, but there was a cleanup crew in there earlier. Okay. So that's one of the reasons when y'all are asking about what kind of embroidery machine should I get. And I will tell you right now, Brother Dealers are having a sale with the NQ 1700 series. Okay. And you can get, and you need to go to your local Brother dealer in your area because Brother restricts sales. If it says you have to go to the dealer for the price, then you have to go into the store that's local to your area. If the price is listed online, then they can sell out of state. So it depends on the machine, right? Okay. So if you're interested in, and you've been watching and you really like this and you want to get into it and whatnot, I would recommend going no smaller than a 6x10 hoop. But my recommendation is buy the largest hoop size that you can afford where there's a technician nearby. And that's one of the reasons I love Brother, because Brother technicians are all over the place. Okay. Thank you, Renata. Oh, hi, Renata. How you doing? Renata and I hung out at the Senior Frogs. Cozumel. Awesome. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Okay, so that said, a lot of times too, there's some misunderstanding. Well, I can use embroidery software and cut it into multiple hoopings. Yes, you got to be good at that. Okay. And also you might see a machine that says, we've got this multi hoop. We've got a long, maybe it's 5x14 instead of 5x7. And then you can make multiple hoopings. You guys, unless a design is digitized to do that, that doesn't work. So if you're brand new to embroidery and you're not sure about this, just if your box said 6x10, you cannot make designs any larger. What'll happen is you'll buy a bunch of designs, you'll look at them on your computer, you see them, everything's great. You bring them over to your embroidery machine and you can't see half of them. Why? Because they require a larger hoop to stitch out than what your machine can handle. Okay, so just kind of be aware of that. So that said, Kimberbell sticks to 5x7s. Now, today we're going to make the mini quilt for March. And today I'm going to work with a single needle. Tomorrow I'm going to work with a multi-needle. Okay. Let me start by saying I'm not a dealer. I'm not a professional Kimberbell educator. I'm not any kind of, this is me. This is me in my sewing room and how I make it. Okay. So I just want to, your Baby Lock Solaris had to go to the shop. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to make this one. It says Lucky on it. That's the one. The lighting here, you guys, is crazy. I'm sorry, because I got that bright light behind me. Not much I can do about that because I'm sitting right here by Darla, my luminaire. I am going to be using a 9x14 dime magnetic hoop because I don't have an 8x12. And when you are doing embroidery, you can always use a larger hoop if your machine can take it and make a smaller design in that. So if you have a 6x10 hoop and you want to make a 5x7 in there, that's fine. You can do that. You're just going to waste a little bit of stabilizer. So I don't have an 8x12 hoop. And in order to stitch out, we're going to make the middle block that says Lucky, that middle green block right there that says Lucky. That's what we're going to make. Okay. Yes, I'd appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. Okay. So thank you, Sandy. I appreciate you being here. Okay. If you have an 8x12 hoop or larger, you can make that all in one hooping. So it's got the CD, and this is all you really need to make these mini quilts. You can certainly source your own fabrics and your own embellishments if you want. Okay. But we're going to, you do have to have the CD in order to get the embroidery design so that you can make it in your machine. Now, the CD comes with two different sizes. It's got a full 8x12, so you can make the Lucky all at one go. All right. Okay. Or it's got separate files on it for 5x7 hoops. And in that case, you're going to print, you're going to hoop the LUC in one, and you're going to hoop the KY in a second hooping. I'm going to do it all in one. But if you only have a 5x7 hoop and you want to do this with me, I recommend you can get Embrilliance Express. Okay, you go to embrilliance.com/express. If you start on my link below the video, I'd appreciate that very much. That's a free version of Embrilliance. And that is it's designed for you to play with BX fonts. It's their little font play program, but it will also allow you to print. Their demo version, their free version that's /demo in the URL, you cannot print on that. But in brilliance.com/express, you can print, okay? You need to print page 1 of each one of these designs, and you will get a crosshair on it, all right? So you want to trim very close to the lettering and line up those hash marks, okay? Center crosshair and your side to side on the L and the C, all right? And then you're going to trim this one. And this is how you're going to line them up for multiple hoopings. So you'll stitch the LUC at first and then the KY. You'll unhoop and then stitch the KY. That's how you do multiple hoopings. A little bit of a pain, okay? The way it is. But I'm going to do mine all at once also. Okay, so also I am going to cut my letters using the Brother SCANNCUT. So I'm going to pre-cut my applique pieces, huh? Okay, Sharon, how funny. Sharon, the cost of what you're doing, the joy you get out of it pays for itself. So buy the most machine you can afford, right? Okay, so there's a lot of different variables that you can do in order to make this quilt if you follow people along. And that's the thing, you are not going to get a cut and dry, this is the way you need to do it. Because embroiderers of all skill sets and all hoop sizes watch this. And so I will explain what you need to do with each one, whether you have a 5x7 or you have a larger hoop, whether you are going to pre-cut your letters or you are not. Okay, so we're just going to kind of go over all of those things. All right, so you do need Kimberbell's, you can either use the ultralight cutaway stabilizer, or the orange one, you can use the light cutaway stabilizer. Okay, so you need that. You need it. It feels like a mesh. It's not papery. All right, and then you're going to want some Kimberbell batting. Okay, and this is 19 inches by 3 yards, so you can do several of these quilts in here. Okay, so if you guys have questions about you know, what you think is probably a stupid question, or, you know, you're brand new, this is the place to ask those questions in the comments. Okay, in the chat. This is the place, because there are no stupid questions. I would rather you ask something that somebody else feels is painfully obvious so that you have it right in your head, okay? And then if you make a mistake or something happens, let's talk about it while we're doing it so that you can feel a little bit of confidence about what you're doing. If you've never, ever, ever before done this and you have purchased the kit, the fabric kit, okay? I've got the fabric kit right here. I've got all 6 months for the fabric kit, okay? And it all comes in separate little bags, and you get the pieces that you need. Where's Marcia's? It's over there on my ironing station. And then I also have the embellishment kit, okay? But again, the only thing you absolutely have to buy is the CD, and then you can source your own fabrics if you want to. All right. Now, for the thread, Kimberbell will give you in the PDF instructions, they will give you little icon pictures of thread colors. That is arbitrary completely, okay? And you'll notice when you look at those instructions and you see that they don't give you color numbers, because the numbers change based on who the thread brand is made by, okay? So this is Isacord. Both of these are Isacord. And the numbers for Isacord are different than the numbers for Glide, than the numbers for Floriani, than the numbers for Madeira, etc. They're all different. As a rule, I rarely, even if a design comes with thread colors assigned to it, I generally don't do that, because 9 times out, I don't bother with it. 9 times out of 10, I don't have that thread anyway, and I'm not going to go buy thread every time I want to make a different design. The only time I have ever purchased a thread where it really matters is like when I'm doing an OESD tiling scene, for instance, and I did it for Marion Bright, where there was shading that happened and you really needed to make sure you got it correct to get the effect that you were looking for from them. Otherwise, I match it myself. Okay. So Kimberbell does not give you thread numbers. I just match my fabrics. All right. Our background fabric is the green with the light Swiss dot. Okay. So on the back of the background fabric, you're going to want to use their adhesive stabilizer. It is a woven adhesive stabilizer. Okay. I didn't have any, but so I use some SF101, but you can use Kimberbell's. They recommend theirs. Okay. And then on the back of the fabric, because I'm cutting this out with a SCANNCUT, I've got Heat and Bond Light on the back. That's Heat and Bond Light. If you're going to do this, you need to make sure I hold the iron for like 5 seconds in each spot to make sure front and back. It needs to, when you go to pull this off, so I'm going to use my SCANNCUT because I don't want to cut out those letters with scissors. I don't want to do that. Your paper should peel off nice and clean. It should be easy. If it's hard to peel off, it's not, you have not ironed the substrate on correctly. Increase the temperature and really, really iron it on. Okay. This is going to be your first project on your SCANNCUT. Awesome. All right, Sharon, and you've been practicing. Good for you. You want to practice before you use your pretty fabric because that's what your scrap basket is for. Okay. Because you don't want to mess up your pretty fabric, but you also need to get the feel of how sticky your mats are. All right. So that matters. Okay. Also, another variable, we've got a couple other little variables we're going to talk about. Background quilting. Okay. I will be using Kimberbell's background quilting on my block. You don't have to do that. It's just going to blend in. You probably won't even see it. Okay. So you can go ahead. Those are colored. Yeah. Okay. So you can go ahead and do their background quilting or not. I am going to be using their block by block method, and that one for the full hooping, the 8x12 hooping, used St. Patrick's 5 4x12. That's what it used. St. Patrick's 5 4x12. The background quilting designs are a separate purchase, and you get them by the bundle, or you can go on Kimberbell's. It's kimberbell.com where you get your background quilting designs, and you can buy them a la carte. So maybe you just, like this one has little rainbows and shamrocks on it. Maybe you just want to buy that cute one, okay? And you get a whole bunch of different sizes of just that one. So there's a lot of different options for here. If you're going to do the block by block quilting, you cannot do that. And block by block means I'm going to background quilt the whole thing. It's not like a clear blue tile, and that's going to get really confusing. All right. I've got a video on how to use clear blue tiles, and it's like an all over background quilting. All right. That's fine. I'm going to do the block by block because I'm going to trim my stabilizer and my batting away using the trimmer by George. All right. This is a ruler with a metal edge on it. All right. And I'll show you how to use this when we finish on Monday. We're going to do a finishing then. But can I link the clear blue tile video? Yes, absolutely, Carol. I can do that. And that is at 1853. All right. I'll put a little thing to it. Let me make myself a note. 1850 CBT video. Although, if you just go on to YouTube search and type in clear blue tiles, my video is one of the first 1 or 2 that pop up. Okay. And I explain everything, whether you've got, how to do it, whether you've got a grid or not and all that. Okay. So that text you have to split up is a handful. Yeah. And if you're going to be splitting the text, you're not going to be cutting the fabric in 2 separate pieces. You're going to use the whole piece of fabric, okay? But you want to do, if you're going to do the background quilting, you need to background quilt that entire thing first. And then you're going to put on the LUC, and then you'll rehoop it and do the KY, okay? So what I recommend doing is taking the LUC and the KY, trimming them up, putting them close together, tape both of them together. So now you've got them, okay? And then you can line them up on your fabric exactly where you want. And then you want to fold it on the crosshair and make a little on the paper and make an edge, and then mark that crosshair on your fabric for the LUC hooping, and fold it up the other way and mark the crosshair for the KY hooping. Okay. And then you don't need that template anymore. I hope that made sense. All right. But since I'm using, now, if you do the block by block, you really can't do the trimmer by, you can't do the trimmer by George if you're going to do multiple hoopings. It just won't work because of the way the block by block designs are different. All right. Registration marks. Yes, Carol. Absolutely. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my letters so that I have that applique all ready to go. And then we're going to jump into putting the thread on the machine, bringing up the design, and getting stitching. Okay. Excuse me. Let me take a little sip of my tea. If you don't have a trimmer by George, then you are going to trim your batting in the hoop when it says to on that step in the instructions. Also, what I do is, I need to go ahead and get back here. Let me see. It's in my files, or it was in my email and I just opened it. There we go. Where did that go? I had it here just a second ago, you guys. All right. I'm looking for it. You guys, I get so much email. I can't even. Oh my goodness. I had that thing up. I want the instructions up on my iPad so that I can use them. So let me go to my files and let me go to iCloud. There we go. So now that I've got my instructions up, okay, what I'm going to do is come here. I'm going to go into my settings. I've got it plugged in. I've got my iPad plugged in. I'm going to go into my settings and let's see. I want the display and brightness, and I'm going to scroll up, and auto lock, I'm going to touch to never. Okay. Because I've got it plugged in, it should be fine. So now my iPad won't go to sleep on me. So that's how you can save some paper and some ink, is you can email yourself the instructions and then put them on your tablet. Or if that's all you use, that's fine. Okay. All righty. So just because I'm using a Brother SCANNCUT to cut the letters does not mean that you need a Brother embroidery machine in order to make this. Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of questions about the size of Kimberbell SVG files that they give you on the CD. As a rule, I have found that they're too small. I don't know why, they just are. So what I do is I go into my embroidery software, I use Embrilliance, and then I use the placement line to create my own SVG files with an inflate of 1.5 millimeter. And then I sent it to the Brother cloud. If you don't have embroidery software, you can take the you want to transfer the SVG file on the CD and save it to a USB and bring it over to the cutting machine. Okay. And in the SCANNCUT, I increase the size of the SVG file with a click of +2. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay. Show you what I mean. So I don't need the trimmer by George right now. I won't need this until Monday when we do finishing. So do you guys have any questions? I'm sure you guys are like, what is she talking about? Okay. So let me get my mat. Close this up. And I'm going to put my fabric with heat and bond light on the back. Again, see how easy this peels away? This is a good adhesion of heat and bond. What tape do you use in the fabric to hold the pieces together? What tape do you use in the fabric? We don't use any tape to hold the pieces together right now. Look how shiny that is. See how glassy that looks? That's a good adhesion. I could not scratch that off if I wanted to because it is on there so well. The heat and bond light has become one with the fibers, okay? So I'm going to just put this, I guess I'm going to slap it like this on my mat sideways because I want to do it all in one cut. All right. We're going to sew the blocks together, okay? Is what we're going to do. So we're making all of this at once, and we're going to sew the blocks together. So I have just got, I'm using my low-tack mat, pretty side up, heat and bond side down on the low-tack mat, okay? Just in case, because I'm going to take a little micro Kimberbell tape, and I'm going to tape on the ends just to make sure that that fabric doesn't get a hair and decide it wants to move around on me. I would not appreciate that at all. I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to hit my load button. Tell it okay. All right, and load. So if you're new to SCANNCUT, this is the reason. How hot do I use my Cricut mini iron? Setting number 3. And when we get to stitch in the letters, I'll turn it on. All right, I'm going to get you in here so you can see what it is that I'm going to do. I want to show you. Okay, let me get in here. Yeah, you guys need to check. Yeah, Bernadine's got a good question. Do you increase for all SVG files? I have found that you always need to test Kimberbell and Sweet Pea for some reason. Alrighty. So we have pattern and scan are the two big icons right here. And pattern are patterns that were in the machine when you bought it. All right. What I did was I created my own SVG files using Embrilliance Essentials, and I've got videos on how to do that. But I'm going to go to retrieve data, and I uploaded those SVG files to the Brother Canvas cloud. All right. So I'm going to get my design. I could get it from inside the machine, from the cloud, or from a USB. If you have the SVG files on a USB, this is the icon you will choose to pull your SVG file into your SCANNCUT. I'm going to get mine from the cloud. It's going to pull down the last thing that I sent, and here it is. Now, let me get you in here real close. I want to show you. I want you to see this. Okay. Can you see the difference in the size of these two? Okay. This is the size of the SVG file on the Kimberbell CD. Okay. This is not from, I didn't make this. Kimberbell made this. This is the size. Look at the difference. This is the size. I used the placement line in the embroidery design, and then I did a 1.5 millimeter inflate. Okay. These are, they just look a little bit more hardy. They're a little bit more thick. You can see the difference with your naked eye. So this tells you, I know that this is going to fit. I know it because I made the SVG file myself from the embroidery design. Okay. This one's too small. So if you don't have embroidery software, I'm going to click it, and you're going to go into edit, and you're going to go to object edit. Now I just sent this down. I grouped them all. Okay. Are all types of heat and bond placed heat and bond side down on the mat? That depends on the mat, Scotty Dog. Okay. All right. I'm going to touch Object Edit. And right here, so we have a icon with a stretchy arrow. Don't touch that. Don't use that. You're going to, it won't work. Okay. That's a resize, but you don't want it. Yeah, that's the one. I'm sorry. That is the one you want. You've got multiples and you've got rotate. Okay. So I'm going to hit the resize. You want to make sure that your button with the up and down arrow and the side by side arrow, is highlighted. Okay. That's going to maintain the aspect ratio. Look at this size, 10.84 by 2.09. Either one of these, it doesn't matter. Tap it twice. 1, 2. Let me go to 1, 2. There we go. Yeah, I would use the width. And the reason being is, let me see. If I touch this one, this is 10.81 by 2.14. Now this is 10.94 by 2.11. We've gotten it a little bit bigger. Okay. So you can mess around with these until you get it right. But again, you want to test, but just do. So 10.94 is the height of the letters on the Kimberbell ones, 10.81. And then that might be a little tall. I don't know. And then down here, 2.11 and 2.14. Still, these look skinnier than these. I don't know why. So sorry about that. Oh, Frito, hush. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. She scares me when she does. All right, that's enough. Quick. Sorry, guys. It's get outside. Sorry, y'all. My baby dog. I apologize. Oh, Keith is out there putting out pre-emergent. I'm sorry. Very professional. Yeah, very professional. 'Tis my life, you guys. That's my life. All right. Hello, Frito. Yeah, Julia. Okay. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm just going to touch this one from Kimberbell. I'm going to hit the X to get out of the resize. I'm telling it okay. And let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to hit the trash can and get out of, I'm just going to get rid of that one. Okay. Do this. Okay to delete. I'm going to tell it okay. Now this one I need to object edit and I need to rotate it because I've got my fabric on my mat sideways. So I'm going to hit rotate and then just kind of get it where I think it'll work, like that, kind of. Tell it okay, and okay again. And I want to go to the wrench and I'm going to tell it that my cut area is 12 by 12. I'm using a 12 by 12 mat and tell it okay and okay. All right. So now I want to scan my mat and make sure I can get it exactly where I need to. So I'm going to hit the scan button and tell it start. I know I went kind of quick through that, you guys, but this is not a scan and cut lesson. Okay. So this is all about embroidery, but this being able to pre-cut your letters exponentially decreases the amount of time you spend doing a project. All right, I'm going to pull it and make sure that everything is right on that mat, and that looks really good. So I'm going to tell it okay, and please select and cut and start. Okay. Let it do its thing. What's really, Rosie? I haven't seen you in a while. Where you been? So I'm going to let the scan and cut do its thing. Craft room full of cricket, hard to justify so far. Well, Rosie, this is the reason I love the SCANNCUT, is because of its ability to see where the fabric is. And I know that I can exactly place it where it's going to go. And again, you can cut a lot more. SCANNCUT does everything that Cricut does and then some. So, and it doesn't matter which SCANNCUT you buy. You can get the least expensive, which is the SDX 85, or the three, the top of the line. They all scan and cut the same. So, busier than busy. Yes, I know. Alrighty, so I have hooped my stabilizer already. Oh, we're done cutting the letters. Yay! All right. So I have my mesh stabilizer. This is a 9x14 hoop. I've got a little great big one here. All right, get that. We're finished cutting. So let's take a look. Let's see. Whenever I make my own SVG files, I always have at the start and stop point one little thread that hangs on. It always happens. It doesn't matter. Okay. There's my letters. There's my L. Perfect. Okay. That always happens. Not a big deal. There, that one came clean. That one has a thread. And I don't want to pull because I don't want my, the K worked out well too. And the C. Let's see. Got that one little thread. Not a big deal. All right. So now I don't have to cut my letters away when I'm doing applique in the hoop. I have shown in January and February's mini quilt videos, and you may want to go back and take a look at those, how to trim your letters in the hoop, right? How to trim your applique in the hoop. And we'll go over that a little bit, but I'm not going to do it in this one because I've already pre-cut my applique. All right, so I've got that. I'm going to, take out my mat, close up my SCANNCUT, and I'm finished. Okay. Excellent. See how easy that was? Super, super. Let's see. Okay. Looking for the largest magnetic hoop to fit the Stellaire XJ1. I don't know. It's not the 10x16. That's the Luminaire. It's the next size down. Probably maybe that 9x14. I think Betty Boop got that right. Or it's either 9x14 or I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that off the top without having to go and research it. All right. So we are ready to go. Yo, 9.5x14. Thank you, Lori. Yeah, 9x14, which is what I've got right here. That's the dime hoop. Okay. And that fits that one as well. All righty. So we've talked about thread. We've pre-cut our letters. Okay. We've talked about the trimmer by George. I will tell you when it's time to trim away your batting. Let me turn on my, I turned on my Cricut mini iron to heat setting number 3. Okay. Oh, let me get this while I got this on. If you are using a brother or baby lock machine and you're doing embroidery and you're brand new to it, let me show you. If you have an embroidery machine, your machine probably came with a couple of different bobbin cases. This one has a purple dot in the bottom. You may have one without a dot and you may have one with a green dot, depending on what model of machine you had. The purple dot bobbin case is designed for machine embroidery. You're going to get a tighter tension to be able to handle this really, really lightweight embroidery bobbin thread. This is a 60 weight bobbin thread. And I got fuzzies in there. So let me put my bobbin case back in. I love the Luminaire because it has the removable faceplate by just flipping a button. You don't have to go and do the screws, which is fantastic. Okay, pop that on. And now I'm going to put my bobbin in. My bobbins are, I buy them from Designs and Machine Embroidery. These are the pre-wounds. Okay, I buy them by the tube. It says 130 yards of pre-size 70D2, but it's a 60 weight. This works. Okay, and these are the shiny ones. Okay, put that in. You load your bobbin exactly like you would a sewing machine. Okay. Okay. Making sure you guys answering. Betty Boop's here. She's pretty good at embroidery too. Now I'm going to change out my embroidery thread. The first thread that I'm going to need is going to be for the background quilting on my background fabric. Okay. So I chose a thread that looks, you're going to see that's what it's going to look like on there. All right. That looks pretty good. So the way I change my threads is exactly the way they do in industry. All right. Just like a serger. I'm going to cut the old thread, give myself a tail, and then I got all kinds of threads on top of my machine, you guys. I've been embroidering I've been doing another Nancy Halverson little mini quilt. Okay. And I'm just going to tie the ends. Now you don't have to. I like to use the little thread guide on the top of my machine that is designed to make bobbins with. I like to put it through there. Just keeps everything straight. And I'm going to give it a pull straight through and up and around, and then thread my needle. Okay. So let's talk about the machine. Okay. Again, your machine embroidery, it's just like sewing. It's just that the machine is going to be moving the fabric versus you with the arm of the machine. So on the machine, we'll go over all of these. So we have a stop start. We have reverse. We never use the reverse button in the embroidery. This little button here with a knot, I don't know if you guys can see this. I want to get you straight on as best and get you a little closer. Okay. Let's look at these buttons. There we go. This button right here with a circle on it, that's a knot button. So when you run out of bobbin thread and you need to knot, you'll do that one. Anytime you need to remove the hoop, maybe you got a bird's nest, whatever. If you can, you want to do a knot, okay? Needle up, down. You really don't use that a whole lot. You have scissors. Then you have your presser foot up and down. You have your speed control. This is for sewing. This does not work when you're doing embroidery, okay? And then we have a needle threader. This is the Brother Luminaire XP3. So if you want to control the speed of your machine, you have to do it on the main screen in the embroidery settings, okay? That's going to be different. And generally, you will use a slower speed for thicker threads. All right. Now I'm going to float my fabric on here. So what does it mean by float? Floating means you don't hoop the fabric underneath the outer edge of your hoop. All right. And the easiest way to do it is to fold your fabric in half, put it at about the, I've got my little tapes on here. Your hoop will have side to side markings. So I'm going to put that approximately there, that way. And then also you want to make sure you get your fabric centered in your hoop. So you have equal distance, side to side, end to end. All right. And then you can pop that down. And I'm going to come up some. This looks pretty good. About like that. That looks like that's about center. When you're doing pre-designed, oh, I need some batting. I forgot. Y'all need to put your batting down. These are great projects for scraps. All right. So I have a piece of scrap Kimberbell batting from a previous project. These are great projects. In the hoop projects are fantastic for using scraps. Now this is going to get trimmed down. So to have it exactly centered in the hoop, if you're doing it all in one hooping, is not that big of a deal because you're going to trim it down. If you are aligning with those two hoopings, you just want to make sure that your paper template is sitting on top of your fabric so you can see exactly where you're going to put those and leave those crosshairs on. I recommend that you use a friction marker, okay? These don't ghost, so use a friction marker. If you're using any kind of friction pins and you get a ghost, it'll come off with a little bit of soap and water, okay? So also, normally you would pin. I need my pin cushion, you guys. You will pin when you float. I don't want to reach in front of you, but I don't have much of a choice. Excuse me. Okay. So I've got my handy dandy little pin cushion here. You pin when you float, and you just want to make sure that you pin out of the embroidery field so that your letters are not going to touch on your project at all. If you have Sew Tights magnets, I use the HD. So I'm pinning in right up on the edge from the bottom and through, and you really only need them in the top, the outside four corners. Okay. Let me get that. That one didn't work. You want to make it nice and smooth. I went over hooping in depth in January and February's. Okay. So you can take a look at those if you need help with hooping. All right, there we go. Placement lines. Nope, Kathy, you really don't need them. When you guys are making designs that are called in the hoop, okay, the fabric from the digitizer has usually been oversized for you to trim it down to size. Okay. Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. So I'm trying to get this straight in my head. Yep. Let me get down to the first thing that we're doing here. Part A, hooping instructions. Let's see. Refer to page 20. Fold the background fabric in half lengthwise. That's for a smaller 5x7. Yeah, they've given you instructions for that. So yeah, you're right. They're going to give you placement lines. Kathy, you are absolutely right. I got all ahead of myself. I thought I was doing a different design. Now, that's the thing. It depends on the digitizer. You'll get different instructions. They won't have placement lines, right? Okay. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to stitch a placement. Y'all, I'm all over the map. I apologize. All right. So I'm going to go on my machine. Yeah, I've got it here. Let me get this out of the way. That's what you meant. I know. I'm sorry. Okay. Because of the glare, y'all, this is terrible. I'm sorry. That's better. All right. I'm going to go to embroidery and the pocket for memory. And I sent it wirelessly from Embrilliance. And I'm looking for the background quilting design for Lucky. There is the, that's the embroidery, not that one. And there it is. Is that it? March? Yep. There it is right there. I'm going to hit set. All right. So there's the background quilting design. I want that to stitch first. Okay. All right. And now I'm going to hit add. And I'm going to go to memory and wireless and go to Lucky. There we go. And set. Okay. So I'm ready. So it's going to stitch the background quilting first in the block by block, not clear blue tiles, and then the stitching for the letters. I'm going to hit embroidery. All right. And the first thing it's going to stitch is the placement line. What did I do? My fault. I need a mimosa. That would be great. Yeah, that would be great. That would probably help. All right. It's going to give me the placement line for the batting. So let's do that. Let me turn the camera. Get back out a little bit. All right. And we're ready to go. Yeah, if you do like fabric confetti or sometimes Designs by Juju, a lot of different digitizers don't have these beginning steps, but Kimberbell always puts them in there for you. And again, you can see it's way oversized, okay, from what the, let me get in there real close so you can see. All right, way oversized. See how wide that is over that placement line? So now I'm going to put my batting over the placement line and make sure it's covered. Top, bottom, side to side. I shouldn't be able to see it. And if you're new to, and you're not a quilter, batting has a scrim on it. It feels kind of bumpy. You put the soft side up. Soft side up. They say the little bumps are like pimples and we don't show our pimples. Okay. So now I'm going to do the batting tack down line. Now, if you're going to use the trimmer by George, I don't recommend stitching the next 2 stitches, okay? They're going to stitch outside of the batting line, the batting tack down. And if you're going to use the trimmer by George, do not use the next 2 stitches. If you're not using a trimmer by George, then you want to go ahead and stitch the next stitch, which is the fabric placement line. And then you're going to, so this is going around twice now to make sure it holds down. So again, trimmer by George, do not stitch the fabric placement or tack down. If you're going to not use the trimmer by George, now you want to remove the hoop. And I'm going to show you quickly how I'm going to do one side of it so you can see. Okay. Oh, where do I'm back. Yay. Sorry, guys. All right. So I'm going to skip the placement, the placement and tack down line for my fabric because I'm using the trimmer by George. And when we get ready to do the putting together, okay, I'll show you how to do that. But essentially, you're going to remove this from the hoop. All right. This is what it's going to look like. If you've cut it with your scissors, it looks really good. But you don't want to have anything hanging out there on the edge. All right. But when we get ready to put it together, what I'm going to do is fold the upper fabric out of the way using the trimmer by George. And then I'm going to cut this and the stabilizer away with a rotary cutter. Okay. All right. You guys. Oh, my life. Frito, please don't bark again. My dog just came back in here. Okie dokie. So I'm going to skip the like I said, the placement and tack down for the fabric. Let me get you in so you can see. Where's my little? Okay. I'm sorry about that glare. Down at the bottom of your screen, there is a needle plus minus button somewhere on your machine. All embroidery machines have them. You have a needle plus minus buttons. I'm going to touch that. And On mine, I've got up or down arrows to jump ahead thread color stops, or I have got go back 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 stitches, or I can go forward 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 stitches. If you have a boo-boo, you need to pay attention to the stitch count that you are on. It will tell you at the top of the machine. Pay attention to the stitch count you're at. Like I'm at 1010 out of 29,000. Okay. And that's going to tell me where I need to start again if I have a problem. So I'm going to jump ahead. This is the placement line for the fabric. There's the tack down for the fabric. There's the background quilting for the fabric. I've got a little preview right there to tell me where I'm at. So I'm going to make sure everything is covered here. Put that down. Just make sure everything is covered. And now's when I want to pin it. Or use my sew tights. Pin that good so that this fabric doesn't shift. Again, it is very oversized, so you can trim away to the right size. This is going to keep the fabric from going anywhere. I'll just do this like this. That last one's hard. There we go. Okay, that looks good. Perfect. And I'm ready to do the background quilting. This next stitch, let me see here. I'm going to tell it okay. And this is going to take about 4 minutes. So here we go. All right. We'll let it do its thing. Very simple. See? Pretty easy. All right. You guys you love Frito. I love Frito too. She's questions. Won't you need tack down when you get ready to trim? No. So tack down is going to be too wide because when you go to sew these blocks together, you're actually putting them together, matching up your batting tack down so that you're going to have fabric in your seam allowance, but not batting. And if you do have batting, it's just a teeny tiny little bit. Okay. It's a cable issue, Betty Boop. Yeah, you know it is. Yeah, it happens. Whatever. There you are. I'm going to have to take it up with my production company. I don't mean to laugh, you guys. It's laugh or cry, right? All right, so I've got another piece here. I'm going to go ahead and make those other blocks with this scrap. So you can really use up your batting scraps. I don't recommend throwing them away. I also will do Franken batting. If I've got little pieces of scraps, I'll either sew them together with a join stitch or a really, really wide zigzag on my sewing machine, my domestic machine, or they make, duct tape, or they make, you can use like micro pour tape. They make all kinds of different tape to put batting together. Okay, you can do that. Let me make sure my iron stays on. And it's just going to be doing its little background quilting. Did I miss any questions? I'm glad that Betty Boop is here so that she can answer. Yes, it never fails. Well, this morning went pretty well. Okay. I know. I think you guys can, I don't know if you can hear the audio or not when that happens. I'm not sure. I had to switch HDMI capture cards. That's too techie for you, I know. All right, so let's see what we got here. And so the instructions that you get are for the 5x7 double hoopings. Okay, so you're gonna have to pay attention on how to do that. And then when it comes to trimming, they show in the instructions to do it with the orange pop rulers, the rectangular ones. And if you've got those, oh, hi, Bonnie. If you've got the orange pop rulers, they want you to nest them. So you put the big one out and then nest them so that you cover everything, and it allows you to center. So those are very handy if you do not have centering rulers. Okay. I will use the rectangular orange pop rulers to center this when we do our final cut, but that will be on Monday. Now, I'm just gonna go through a couple of letters with you guys. And then, all right. So I'm going to do a couple letters with you guys because we're already on for an hour. But that'll give you the idea of how to do all the letters. All right. And then we'll cut it out on Monday. You do not hear audio when it goes dark. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure what goes on with the settings on that cable. I don't know. I actually think it's a port problem on the side of my, computer. Okay. Now, if you have done the background quilting, all right, let me show you. If you have done the background quilting, I don't want this cable to mess with me any more than it absolutely has to. I want to keep you guys. I'll come right back. Capitals. All right. I'm moving things around, y'all. It's probably going to go, if it goes dark again, I'm here. Okay. And let me zoom in. All right. If you've done the background quilting and you added, so you've already done that. The very first stitch, this is a placement line for batting. If you're not doing the background quilting, this is the first stitch you're going to see. If you've done the background quilting, you don't need to stitch this stitch. So you'll skip over this one, okay? So I'm going to go into my needle plus minus. And I'm going to jump ahead one spool color. There is in my preview, that's actually a tack down for fabric is what that is. That first one. Okay. Now I'm going to stitch the placement lines for my letters. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the same color thread in. Do I want to do that? No, I'm going to change my thread color to match the letters themselves. So I'm going to go wide. If you do not do the background quilting, you need to stitch that first stitch. Okay. So let me change out my thread. Okay. Let me come up and over this really quick. Now tomorrow we're going to do the rainbow. I'm going to tie these together. I'm going to do the rainbow on the multi-needle because of all those different thread colors. I don't want to have to change threads all the time. So that's why I chose this block for the single needle. All right. So now it's going to stitch the placement line for all my letters. I got a little loop. I don't want there. So if you get a little loop or something when it just gets started, go ahead and trim it so it doesn't snag, and then stop the machine and grab those little tails and trim them. Don't cut the knot, just cut the tails. Okay, there we go. Much easier. There we go. Yep. Oh, thank you, Catherine. Yes. Catherine says, don't turn in. Yeah, I am giving away the Quilted Witch quilt kit on the 18th of February at 4 p.m. Central. Let's just see that. This is the U. It's for hitting the milestone of 70,000 subscribers. That's a crazy number. I can't believe it. And if you tune in tomorrow morning on the Stitchuation Room, which is at 7 a.m. Central, I'm giving away a pair of Guggenheim shears that are amazing. They're my favorite scissors so far. Arm wrestle for it. Yep. Isn't that nice? I love my luminaire, you guys. Absolutely love it. So if you really want to help out the channel, which is completely free to you, you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. Yes, on to 100,000. Absolutely. I'm on the hunt for that plaque, you guys, and I can see it way in the distance. All done. Okay, this is it. All right, now I'm going to remove the hoop and I'm going to place the letters. So let me turn this. There we go. I've got my quilter's cut and press so I can do my lap work. And I'm going to pull the hoop. Let me turn it this way. This is too cute. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at the background quilting. Isn't that adorable? Little shamrocks and lucky rainbows. So cute. Adorable. Horseshoes. Just adorable. Okay. Let me turn this down. And now I'm going to take my letters and I'm going to place them exactly where they need to go. Like that. Mike could get away with an inflate of just 1.0. And if you're not sure, stitch it just on your stabilizer. Stitch the placement line just on your stabilizer and then see if one of your test letters fits. Now, if I have to, I'm going to go ahead and stitch the tack down. All right. If I have to, I will do some micro trimming all day long versus having to cut these letters out. So if they are a little bit big, I don't mind because then I can do the micro trimming here and there as needed, but it's not always needed. Now, some digitizers will put the placement line exactly on top, the tack down exactly on top of placement. Some digitizers put the tack down right next to the placement line. So you never know what you're going to get. But this is why you do this, to be able to get this. So it's so much easier. Oh my goodness. Now your final satin stitch will be approximately 3 millimeters wide. So it should catch it all. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and run the tack down just to see if I have anything glaringly hanging over that I can get. I probably could have done a 1.0 millimeter inflate instead of the 1.5. Okay. The 1.5 is default in Embrilliance to do that. Okay. If you're doing this on a multi-needle, make sure you put your hook back in the right direction. All right. Now this is the tack down. There we go. All right, what do we got here? Well, Kim, you might glean a thing or two out of here, and you might see how bad my video can be. It's stitching it down twice. The reason it's going around twice on each letter is because it wants to make sure it stays there when you're pulling up on the fabric to trim away with those scissors. And there's, yeah, the 1.5 is pretty close. Oh, Bernie, your niece loves those scissors. Yeah, those are fantastic. Those Guggenheims, they're great. I love them too. Okay, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to pull the hoop and I'm going to show you, if you pre-cut your letters, what I think needs to have a little bit of trimming and what doesn't. Okay, so you can see that and you'll know. Yeah, y'all, I think that if I would have used the SVG files from Kimberbell right off the CD, I think they'd have been small. And the problem with that is that the fabric is not wide enough for the outer satin stitch to catch it, and it'll fray. As the needle goes up and down right on the edge of the fabric will fray, and it's no good. You won't be happy with that at all. Okay. It's better to trim away a little bit and deal with that than it is to have them be too small. This looks really good. This is so cute. Oh my gosh, this is cute, you guys. So this one, we're not using any embellishments on this at all. No, we're just doing applique, and that's it. Now, when you're doing your trimming, you can get these little spring snips. I really only use these for threads. I don't care for the effect on the edge of the applique from these. I don't feel like I get as clean of a cut. Okay, I prefer to use the gingers. All right, I'm going to get way in close and let you see what I think I would trim and what I wouldn't. All right. This applies to every single applique that you do. All right. So I want to make sure you can see. I have to roll around. Okay. So right here under the L, so there's the thread line right there. And I'm going to just kind of scrape it with my finger just a tiny bit. It's not even 1/8 of an inch, you guys, but just a tiny, tiny bit. This is more efficient to do this. Okay. I'm all right with that. That's down right here underneath the top of this letter. I want to cut that. The rest of this is fine. So even though I am doing some cutting on it, I'm cutting just a tiny bit of it. Okay. I think the rest of that's going to be okay. Yeah, the 1.0 millimeter inflate, if you use Embrilliance or some other software to make your SVG files, see, it's not even trimming that much off. Okay. I'm finding it here on these upper portions of the letters is where I think I'm going to need it the most. Again, when you're trimming, if you're using right-handed scissors, trim clockwise. If you're using left-handed scissors, trim counterclockwise. So you get the cleanest, because cut, you'll get the cleanest cut. That should be fine. I wouldn't be done trimming the L yet if I was doing this to cut them all. All the rest of this should be fine. It's going to be just fine. That C, I like the C. The K, I'm going to get this up. If you can scrape up like 1/8 of an inch, then you may want to trim that. Okay. Yep, I will do this all day long versus having to cut all of it. I don't want to cut all of it. And then the Y, oh, that looks pretty good. Maybe on this side a little bit. So see, it's worth it. Time-wise, it is worth it. Not having to cut out all these letters. This is why you want to scan and cut. All right. I think that looks pretty good. I'm pretty sure that the 3 millimeter wide satin stitch is going to cover all of my fabric. Okay, that looks good. See how quick that was? All day long. Yep. I'm going to put this back into the hoop. Put the hoop back in the machine. And need to do a, okay. All right, I got a problem here. This is doing the LUC. Let me make sure, and that should be fine. So what it's showing right now on my screen is it's just going to do the LUC. Oh, you probably can't see that for the glare, right? And it is looking for a white. So I'm going to put the thread color change, I think, to white. We are on step number 9. And that, let me see. No, I'm looking at my instructions here. Make sure I'm on the right. Yep. Stitch the LUC satin outlines 1, which is white thread. Okay. I'm on page 2, the top of page 2 for the instructions for the Lucky. Okay. Where my scissors go? Oh, there they are. And my white thread is right here. Oh, I need that again, won't I? So it's just going to go around now and do the white outline. And then it's going to do the green outline, and then it's going to do it for the rest of the letters. So I'll do one and show you how it looks. And then you guys can finish up the rest of it on your own. I'm going to go here. Where's my... Yeah, it looks good. I can, there's no fabric hanging outside. Let me get you in here and show you. Okay. There's no fabric hanging outside that white line. Now it's doing a zigzag underlay for the satin stitching. And then it's going to do a satin stitching finish. And it has perfect, the letters are the perfect size. I really feel like straight from the SVG file, it would have been too small. So definitely test. You make your cut files on your luminaire and they turn out perfect. That's great. Bonnie, I inflated, I did the default in Embrilliance, and that was 1.5 millimeters. I probably could have gone 1.0, but this still fits pretty good. It fits pretty good. I like it. Scotty's having a margarita. Awesome. That's very nice, Carla. Yeah, I love that companies support me. That's wonderful. You are more than welcome. I just do this because I really want to support our community. Because the more you know, as Amy says, the more you sow. But it's just so nice to open up a new skill set to quilters. If you've got an embroidery arm and you've never used it, give it a shot. You'd be surprised. All right, I can see that fabric looks fantastic. It's not hanging out from underneath that white thread at all. Bonnie, when you said, what about inflation? I was going to say, yeah, fabric and thread is way more expensive than it used to be, right? I know what you're talking about. Okay. So when this U gets finished, then I'm going to do so what it's going to do, it's got another half hour to stitch, you guys, which is going to take another hour. So I'm going to pull the hoop and show you what that looks like. And then I'm going to do the outer green stitching. So I'm going to be jumping ahead on that. Okay. Is that right? Okay. I've stopped it because now it's getting ready to do the outline white stitching around the C. Okay. So that's what it's doing here. So it did the U, then the C, then it'll go back and do the L. Okay. I'm good. Let me, yeah, I know. So I just want to show you, let me lift the presser foot up. Okay. Now take a look at the lettering. It's perfect. See that? Perfect. Okay. So this is why you want to scan and cut, really, to do your lettering, because now if you're doing it on your luminaire, and that's great, the luminaire is taking the placement line and creating the applique stitch. It's using the exact same process as the embroidery software does. Okay. So, and I'm not going to, this thing's going to be jumping around and I don't want to fiddle with it. So I'm just going to finish this up later. I'm going to let it run and finish, but it's going to stitch for probably another almost hour. Okay. So it's going to take quite a bit. I'll probably be going through some bobbins. So I'm going to wrap this up right now. Let me make sure you price the luminaire and it costs as much as a used car. Yeah, Bernie, it does. Sure does. Yep. But if you can get 0% for 5 years, why not? Right? Free money. That's what I did with mine. You know, you don't get everything all at once. But anyway, okay. Betty Boop says that's how much a multi-needle is too. Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to finish this up today and let it keep doing its thing. But today we covered, you know, the different products that you need. We covered bobbins and thread and whether you're going to do background quilting or not background quilting and all of that. So anyway, so the needles I use, Gloria, are the organ needles. If you are stitching with a brother or a baby lock machine, they are timed at the factory with organ needles. And the organ needles that I use are the two different kinds. It doesn't matter. Both of them work great. SAEMB 7511. Those are the needles that I'm using. And they are organ, brother or baby lock, okay? Or the 7511 EBBR. EBB embroidery, okay? So they're designed to allow synthetic threads to pass through them very quickly and not get all snagged up. All right. So it's important to use the right needle, the right bobbin. Okay. And the reason we're not getting any puckering around the U with that heavy satin stitch is because of the adhesive woven backing that's on the back of the pretty fabric. All right. That is what that is, the Kimberbell adhesive backing. If you don't have any of that, you can use Pellon's SF101 and it will work just the same because I don't have any of that. Okay. You're embarrassed to admit, but you bought a SCCM 550 10 years ago when you bought the Baby Lock Destiny. Been in the box. The SCANNCUT's been in the box till today. I can just use a thumb drive and still do this. Yes, Yorkie mom, you absolutely can do this. That's CM, I think it's a 650. If you're in the US, it was a 650. They only had a 350 or a 650. And then they had other numbers if you were overseas. But the CM 650, it's wireless. If you've still got that activation card with it, that still works. You can still do what I just showed. Let me show you how to create the SVG file in Embrilliance quickly before we go. I'm going to open Embrilliance here and I'm going to share my screen. Oops, let me see. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to pull in an embroidery design. Let me do that first. Let me open up an applique embroidery design first, and then I'll show you how to do that. Now you can use Embrilliance Express. I've got links to Embrilliance below, and then when you get there, just look for Express. Let me go to Kimberbell in my folders. And then I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really super easy. Do I have the Mini-Quilts in here? I do. Okay. So let's look at this. I'm going to present and share my screen. All right. I'm going to go to window there. Okay. So I'm looking for, this is my file folder. Okay. I'm looking for my embroidery files and I'm going to go to PES. This is the Mini-Quilts. These are the files that are on the Mini-Quilt. I'm going to go to March. Pretty sure you guys can see this. Yeah. Okay. Now you've got your multiple hoop blocks right up here. So if you look, there's lucky part A, lucky part B. So this is the LUC and this is the KY. All right. You got that. Those, and then there's your rainbow part A and B and C. Okay. So I just wanted to show you guys that. If you're doing it in a larger hoop like I did, you would use this file right here. Okay. So I need to go back to stop sharing, and I'm going to share one more time and go over to my Embrilliance screen so you can see that. Window, Embrilliance, and share. So in Embrilliance, I'm going to just grab that 8x12 file and drag and drop it onto the screen. So you didn't see me do that because of security reasons, but anyway, this is what it looks like. So in the objects panel of Embrilliance, when you click on this number 1, this is where you get everything that makes up the design that you're looking at. Okay. And so right there, you can go through here and inspect the design. This is the placement line for your batting, tack down for the batting, and there's your tack down for the fabric. Right here, there's the LUC, okay? And that is the placement line for the LUC. And I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Oh no, I'm sorry. On this one, this third one, this is your placement line for all of the letters. And then this is the LUC white stitching, LUC green stitching, KY white stitching, KY green stitching. So this here is the placement line. And how do I know? I'm going to move it to the side with my arrow keys. Let me see if I can grab it and move it. Oh, I've got not responding, you guys. It doesn't, there we go. Let me do this. Okay. I'm going to use my arrow keys. I'm going to move that. See it? Okay. There's the placement line. Now, how do you turn that into an embroidery design? You always choose the placement line so that your letters exactly fit. You come down to the color chip in the properties. See how it used orange? It doesn't matter what color. You use thread that works with your fabric. I'm going to click on it, and a thread dialog box pops up. And can you see the thread dialog box? Yes, you can. Okay. You've got two tabs. You have color and applique. You're going to go to applique. You're going to change it from not applique, hit the drop down and go to applique position and click OK. Well, not yet. Right over here, there's a cutting box, and the inflate, this one is 1.0. I did this on my desktop and it's 1.5. Either one will work. All right. You just click save. And when you click save, you're going to get a box pop up, and you can see the save as type is scalable vector graphic. That's how you make your SVG files. Okay. I don't know that the free version of Embrilliance will do that. I know it will print. Okay. But I don't know that it will create SVGs for you. So I think you have to have at least Embrilliance Essentials to do that. All right. And then what I do from there, so here, I'll just save it, and I'm saving it in my downloads. Okay, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to tell it, okay, 96 DPI, and I'm just going to X out of it. All right. So now, let me go back here. That's how you make that. So I want to open up, this is what I did. I'm going to Brother Canvas. It's canvasworkspace.brother.com. Okay. And I'll show you how I did this. So let me go back to share my screen. You made it to a live? Oh, yeah. And I'm going to share my screen. So let's go to Canvas Workspace. I'm going to bring that up. Okay. So I'm going to go to new right here. Okay. You have to create an account. It's free. And right here in this line of icons, there's a button that says SVG. I'm going to pull that up, choose file. I'm going to go to where I put that SVG file. This looks like a Microsoft Edge icon, but it is the SVG file. It says HTML document. That's only because this computer's operating system doesn't know what an SVG file is. It's not native to it. It doesn't know what to do with it. So I'm just going to click open. But when I click open, now you can see it's the 8x12 Lucky SVG. Otherwise, you get an error. Okay. I'm going to tell it okay. And it pulls it in, and there it is. Right? There you go. And that's it. And then I just did a download. Didn't do anything to it. Didn't do a thing to it. And then you can download it to your SCANNCUT right there. That's how you do it. So no USBs required. Everything works great. Okay. And you just hit download and you're done. That's it. Pretty easy. Pretty easy. Thank you, Betty Boop. I appreciate that. Okay. You're late, but it's live. That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. So anyway, Sharon, I have playlists for Embrilliance tutorials. You can do how to create SVG. Just search that on YouTube. My videos are going to pop up. How to create SVG files for applique using Embrilliance. Yes, the software does work on a Mac, Nina. It works on a Windows and a Mac, PC and a Mac. Okay. It also has unlimited license, concurrent license installs. Big word, means I've got it on my laptop. I've got it on my desktop. I've got it on my laptop at the coast. I have it on a laptop in the motorhome. the same license, you can install it concurrently together as many times as you need for as long as you live. Okay. It is not like you get with BES or some other where it has a limit of 2. Okay. There's no dongle. So you don't have to put a USB in like you do with Artista. All right. It's just wonderful software. It's very easy to use. And there are lots of tutorials for it on YouTube, especially from me. I've got tutorials for it. You're welcome. Yeah, it works on both and it's fantastic. Okay. So it's just, to me as an end user, I much prefer it. It's just easier for the end user. So, all right, you guys, computer, not iPad. That is correct, Bonnie. So most embroidery software needs a full-on operating system. It will not work on a mobile device. And a mobile device would be your phone or an iPad, okay? Anything that's mobile. You really need to have the full operating system in order to be able to work embroidery software, okay? I wish, I don't know, I would hope that the folks at Embrilliance are creating a cloud-based. That would be amazing. I don't even know if they are. That would be great. So I could hop on an iPad, right? Just like Brother Canvas. I could jump on an iPad, jump into my Embrilliance software and create it in the cloud and then download the design. That would be amazing. Wouldn't that be great? Hatch works on an iPad. Okay. I'll take your word for it. I don't know that. Computer. Yeah. I'll take your word for it, Twyla. I don't know that for sure. All right. Well, because the iPad uses an app. That's maybe Hatch has an app for the iPad. Mobile devices require apps. That's why you cannot use this software on a Chromebook. Okay. A Chromebook is like a giant Windows-based iPad, right? Giant tablet. All right. So tomorrow we're going to do the multi-needle, and I'm going to start in Embrilliance to show you guys how to do it so that everything goes streamlined. All right. How everything gets streamlined. And then it's going to be awesome. Now, I don't stitch all that out on the multi-needle because it gets loud, but I'll show you how to do it. Okay. Well, you guys, this has been a lot of fun. I've got some stitching I need to finish. If we don't have any more questions, I will see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. When we finish on Monday, it's at 1 p.m. Central on Monday for finishing and putting it all together. I've got a dental appointment in the morning. So, all right. We will, yeah, Embrilliance is on sale. I've got links to it below the video. If you would start on my link and jump over to the website, I'd really appreciate it. It helps the channel a whole lot. And that's that helps me to keep doing what I'm doing. All right, you guys, we will talk to you soon. You guys go sew something. Bye.